hope you're doing well. So today we're going to go over how I made this animated gummy character from scratch. We're going to cover some basic rigging today and making characters easy to animate. So with this technique, you're going to be able to know how to use an FFD deformer and use that in conjunction with joints to bring a character to life. So without further ado, here we go. Alright guys, so here in Cinema 4D, I'm going to go to create mesh, and then cube. And this is going to be our main animatable object. And I'm going to make divisions of that cube, maybe 4 and 4 and 4. And I'm going to put this in a subdivision surface to give it a little bit more resolution. And that'll give it some rounded edges so that it looks more like a gummy. And then I'm going to go ahead and create some particles that are like sugar on this gummy object. So I'm going to go to the cloner and create a platonic. So making these sugar particles are really going to be what sells this as being a gummy. And I'm going to set my cloner to object and set my subdivision, my cube, as the object that it's going to clone on, and then put my platonic as a child of the cloner. So I got a few of them, but I'm going to increase the count to maybe, let's say 1,000. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Let's say 800. And decrease the size a little bit more. That's perfect. And I'm going to just create a really default material to be able to see this a little bit more clearly. And add it on there. So what I want to do is to make an FFD that manipulates the deformations of this cube. And I want that to be animatable by controlling control points that are tied to joints. So with the FFD, it's not a good idea to actually animate the points of the FFD. So what you're going to want to do is to bind those points to joints and then control those joints to make animations with the character. So I'm going to just create my FFD first and put that as a child of the cube and then click fit to parent. And then that should snap the FFD to the cube. So then I'm going to go to my FFD and increase the grid point size. So that looks about resolute enough. And then I'm going to go to my orthographic view and start creating joints to control these points on the FFD. So in case you didn't know what the FFD is, it's this box that has vertices that you can move around and it deforms whatever is inside of this box. And it's really fun to animate with, and it's so useful for animating simple objects like this. So what I want to do is to not animate these points because that's going to give me a really hard time later on in the graph editor, and it's going to be really difficult to clean up those curves or to do revisions. So what I'm going to do is attach these points to joints and then attach those joints to nulls and then make those nulls the things that we animate. I'm just going to get started by going to my orthographic view. And I'm going to make this rig kind of special because I want it to have movement so that it looks like these points on the sides are like arms and legs. So I'm going to go to character and then go to joint. And that made a joint. And go to my object mode and move it to the center. And then I'm going to duplicate this joint and bring one to the lower left corner. Duplicate it again. Bring one to the lower right corner. Bring one to the upper right. Bring one to the upper left. And then I'm going to take these 4 joints and make them a child of this first joint. So as you can see, if I move either one of these, they kind of move the arms of this character. And then what I want to do is to select all my joints, control select my FFD, and go to bind. Character, bind. So now you can see that if I move my center joint, it's going to move some part of the FFD. Right now the problem is there's no weighting to these joints. So I'm going to go to character and manager and then weight manager. I'm going to dock that to the side here. And then if I select my FFD, you can see that all my joints are listed here and their weight relationships with the FFD. Right now it's not bound entirely correct. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to have the center joint control the center body here, and then have these corner joints control the corners of this FFD. So I'm going to go to my joint, my center joint, and go to the CV selection mode, and then select these center CVs and go to absolute and apply to selected. And that'll give full weighting of the center to the center joint. Then I'm going to go to my next joint, check that position. I should probably rename these joints. So this is upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. So now I'm going to select these points on the side and go to absolute 1 and click apply selected. And then this one, I'm going to select these points on this side, go to absolute and click apply selected. And then move to the next joint, lower right, go to my commands, apply selected, move to this joint, go to my commands, apply selected 100. So now you can see if I move these, they're going to influence this FFD and allow me to be able to animate my little jelly character here. So the next thing I'm going to do is make controllers for these. So what I'm going to do is select all my joints and go to character, go to convert, convert to nulls. And you can see it puts a null object at the exact point that my joint is. So all I have to do is build a relationship between this null object and these joints. So I'm going to select my joint here, or select all of them, and go to rigging tags and go to constraint. And then I'm going to click apply to this parent. And then I'm going to go to each one of them and put the null inside this constraint so it locks it to that null. And then whatever that null does, the joint also does. So now I have these points, but I have problems seeing them. So I'm going to change what they are here in the object properties. Change that shape to maybe a circle here. Maybe 120. And then change these shapes to cubes. And then I'm going to go ahead and hide my FFD. So now what I'm left with is these control points that I can use to easily animate the character. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that and maybe learned something, and have a good day.